Welcome you back to another edition of the A Train video stream and podcast. Because to those that do not get the opportunity to watch the live stream, we will be podcasting this, so you'll be able to check it out. It will be on Spotify, iHeart, Odyssey app, Amazon Music. In most cases, if you have search engine, you can search it in Apple Podcasts, Google as well. So just want you to know where you can listen to the podcast version of today's show. And I was with you on yesterday, and I felt like I gave you less than my best show, and I want to come back and make that up. And yes, like the headline says, KCAC and the SAC, which is the Sooner Athletic Conference. So we're going to be talking about those conferences more in depth. And we're also going to get into a little bit of possible preseason All American looks as well to the list of the preseason All American list, shall I say it like that. But I want to just welcome you back to the show, the ride, one more time. This is the A Train, and I'm simply calling it the ride. And I kind of like the way it has a ring to it. We are streaming from Riverside, but we're also on twitch.tv as well as a couple of my YouTube channels. And I will be putting those links up on most of my social media platforms. That way you can check it out as many times as you would like to. Hope you enjoyed. Drop your comments in the comment section. Uh, I also felt like some of the information I gave you yesterday was not as well updated. So, what I want to do is take a look at some of the players to be on the watch out for. We're going to start with the KCAC, then we're going to move down south to the SAC, look at some of their projections. Uh, Several top performers from last season's championship teams and returning all KCAC players are expected to be key players in the 2025 KCAC football season. Here are some players that we want you to keep an eye out. Offensive players, quarterback Cavante Baker, Friends University, the awards that he garnered: co-offensive player of the year for the Kessinger Division in 2024 and 2023 KCAC Football Player of the Year. 2024 season led the Kessinger Division with 16 rushing touchdowns and ranked among the division's top three in rushing yards. The outlook is he leads the Friends Falcons into the new Bissell Division after winning the Kessinger Division in 2024. Also, running back Luke Armstrong, Kansas Wesleyan University, 2024 Bissell Division Player of the Year. 2024 led the KCAC in rushing with 1,297 and all-purpose yards with 1,991, and was a top five rusher in the NAIA. Armstrong is a proven dynamic force for the Coyotes and a major threat on the ground. Another running back, Jaleel Brown, McPherson College, co-offensive player of the year in the Kessinger Division in 2024, led the Kessinger Division in rushing touchdowns and total rushing yards during the regular season. Brown will once again be the engine of the McPherson offense. Wide receiver, Michael Gazana, University of St. Mary, two-time first-team All-KCAC selection. His career stats: enters the season with 1,518 receiving yards and 17 career touchdowns, ranking among the top five in Spire's history in career receptions and yards. As one of the KCAC's most consistent pass catchers, Gazana will continue to be a top target for St. Mary. Offensive lineman Kyrie Watkins, Friends University. AFCA NAIA coaches first team All America and first team All KCAC Kessinger Division honors in 2024. Watkins was a key anchor on an offensive line that led the nation in both rushing yards and touchdowns last season. Defensive players, linebacker Miles Elam, Kansas Wesleyan University, named to the 2025 KCAC preseason team. Elam is a standout linebacker for the Coyotes and is expected to be a leader on defense as a sophomore. Sophomore, get that. That means they're going to have him around at least a few more years. Linebacker Brandon Jones, McPherson College, named to the 2025 KCAC preseason team. Jones is a solid returning linebacker for the Bulldogs who will look to make a big impact in the Kessinger division. Defensive back Javion Turner from Evangel University, preseason team selection and a returning starter for the Valor. Turner is part of a strong returning defensive core for Evangel, which finished second in the Kessinger division last season. And on special teams, kicker, punter Cole Segraves, Kansas Wesleyan University, a dual threat kicker and punter. He hit two field goals over 50 yards and had a 54-yard long. Segraves adds a dangerous impact to the special teams. So there we get you kicked off with some players to watch there. And I have some more on the KCAC as we're talking once again preseason honors, divisional shakeups, and some of the biggest names in small college football gearing up for the 2025 season. So we are going to take this train down south, but before we pull up here, here's what I'm going to look at. The big news out of the KCAC. The conference has officially announced its divisional alignment for the 2025 season. For those of you keeping track, this is the first reset since divisions were introduced in 2023. Divisions are slated to reset every 2 years based on total conference wins to keep things competitive. And yes, conversations are already happening about tweaking the model again in 2026. Here's the 2025 lineup in the Dr. Ted Kissinger division: Abilene University, Bethany College, Bethel College, Evangel University, Ottawa University, Tabor College, and in the Franklin Gene Bissell division, you have now Friends University, Kansas Wesleyan University, McPherson College, Southwestern College, Sterling College, University of St. Mary. Every team still plays all 11 conference opponents, but division play officially kicks off October the 18th. Some things you might need to know about the names of the division: Dr. Ted Kissinger of Bethany, who won 219 games and 16 conference titles without a single losing season in 28 years. Dr. Franklin Gene Bissell of Kansas Wesleyan University, who brought home four KCAC championships and left a legacy of toughness and tradition. Now, I did this earlier in the show, but I want to do it again, a little bit more bullet point, as we once again look at the all KCAC team. And wow, there is no shortage of star power. Cavante Baker, friends, the do it all QB who can beat you with his arms and legs. Jaleel Brown McPherson, last year's co-offensive player of the year, a scoring machine. Luke Armstrong, Kansas Western, the league's leading rusher, punishing defenses every Saturday. Michael Gazana, St. Mary, one of the top pass catchers in the nation. Up front, guys like Kyrie Watkins and Kenyon Vigil of Friends, plus Antonio Caballero of KWU will be paving the way in the trenches. Friends lead the pack with 8 preseason honorees, but Southwestern and Evangel are right there with 6 apiece. This race, wide open. Now, on what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you down south. So let's roll down to the Sooner Athletic Conference. The preseason poll is out, and Texas Westland is sitting in the conductor's seat. The Rams are fresh off their first outright SAC title, a perfect 8-0 in league play, and their first ever trip to the NAIA postseason. They grabbed 8 of 9 first place votes. OUAZ, which is Ottawa University, Arizona, is number 2. Langston comes in at number 3. And then there's Ernest Caesar III, one of the stars of that league. Last season, he set the school record with 40 touchdowns. Yes, 40. This young man is the real deal. From his very first carry as a sophomore, an 80-yard score, to becoming one of the most feared players in the country, Caesar is not just the heart of this Texas Western team. He might be the best player in the NAIA right now. If the Rams are going to repeat, he's the engine that's going to take them there. And here's the part you don't want to miss. You can catch all the action, not just on the KCAC network, but now both the KCAC and SAC have partnered with Urban Edge Network, UIN. This streaming deal is a game changer. It means more exposure for small college football, more chances for fans to see their teams, and a bigger spotlight for players chasing championships and making history. So now it is time for some bold predictions. In the Kissinger division, I like Evangel to edge out Bethel and Avila. They're physical, disciplined, and primed for a run. In the Bissell division, with all that star power and firepower that they have returning, I've got Friends University repeating. With Baker and all that talent around him, the Falcons are still the team to beat. Down in the SAC, give me Texas Westland to repeat, but not undefeated. I think OUAZ trips them up in a thriller mid-season, but the Rams still win the league behind Caesar's brilliance. So there you have it. New divisions in the KCAC, stars shining on the preseason team, Texas Westland rolling up strong in the SAC, and now thanks to UEN and the KCAC network, fans can follow along like never before. College football in the heartland is alive and well, folks, and I can't wait to see how this ride unfolds. So now what I want to do is I want to transition again and take a trip down across the state of Kansas. Shall I say it like that? With a look at the Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference, one of the premier conferences in all of junior college football and home to the defending national champions. Defending national champions Hutchinson is picked to win the KJCCC football title. The Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference once again runs through Hutchinson, Kansas. The Blue Dragons are coming off an 11-1 season that saw them capture their second national title under sixth-year head coach Drew Dallas. Coaches around the league voted Hutch to win a fifth straight KJ Triple C crown, handing them six of seven first place votes. Hutch's dominance isn't just felt regionally, it's national. In the NJCAA Division One preseason poll, the Blue Dragons were unanimous number one, securing all 12 first place votes. It's a sign of respect, not just for what Hutchinson has accomplished, but for what they've built: depth, speed, and a championship culture. The challengers, however, Garden City, Butler, and Coffeeville. Garden City has been tabbed second in the KJCCC preseason under order, snagging the final first place vote under second year head coach Kyoshi Harris. The Bronx Busters are hungry to restore the program to national prominence. They haven't had a winning season since 2021, but with talent returning in a top 10 national ranking at number 7, Garden City looks poised to push Hutch from the opening kickoff of the season when they face Navarro in a blockbuster matchup. Butler Community College, the program with the most tradition in the league, sits third in the coaches poll and enters the year ranked number 13 nationally. The Grizzlies shared last year's conference title and even handed Hutchinson his lone loss of the season. Man, talk about that rival. I mean, you talk about, I'm going to say it like this: two schools that just don't like each other. Uh, you could say, and I actually went to Hutchinson Community College, and trust me, back when I went, their football team wasn't nothing. I could tell you some guys right now. I mean, from a talent standpoint, there was some talent on that team. It just wasn't Butler County talent. Back when I went to Hutch Community College, it was all about two teams: Butler County, Coffeeville. But for some reason, there was angst and animosity toward Butler. And Hutch just didn't like Butler during football season, and during basketball season, Butler didn't like Hutch. Hutch was like the evil empire, kind of like spin it off like the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. That's the best way to sum it up. But anyway, Butler County, the program with the most tradition in the league, sits third in the coaches poll and enters the year ranked number 13th nationally. The Grizzlies shared last year's conference title and even handed Hutchinson its lone loss of the season, a 27-22 upset on the road, with first-year head coach Cal Woodall now at the helm. Butler is aiming to prove they're more than just a spoiler. Here it is: Coffeeville, picked fourth in the KJCCC poll, finished last year at 9-3. And I'm going to say like this: the conference is much in a much better position when you have those traditional powers like Butler and Coffeeville at the top of the league, along with Hutch now. Something I didn't get to enjoy as a fan, as a student. So I can sit back and say, yeah, I went to school there. I can stick out my chest and say, I went to school there. But those are the three schools, Hutch in today's era, but it would be nice to have Butler and Coffeeville also in the national limelight. Coffeeville was uh, notorious for sending players to like Nebraska. Matter of fact, Coffeeville used to scrimmage or play games against Nebraska's JV team back in the day when they had them, but due to NCAA bylaws, they brought that to an end. But good to see them in this limelight right here. The Red Ravens are a proud program and won't be overlooked, especially with the way they compete physically on both sides of the ball. Dodge City, Independence, and Highland round out the league. Dodge City is projected fifth after going 6-4 last season in Rusty Lusby's first year as head coach. The Conquistadors had one of the stingiest defenses in the conference, giving up just 297.3 yards per game, and could be a dark horse contender if their offense clicks. Independence Community College sits sixth in the preseason poll, while Highland is seventh. Both programs enter with new energy. Indy opens the season hosting number 14 Trinity Valley, and that game was played today, while Highland welcomes back head coach Tom Minnick, who looks to revitalize the Scots after a 5-6 campaign. Strength beyond the Jayhawk, one of the biggest storylines heading into the fall is just how well the KJCCC stacks up nationally. With Hutchinson at number one, Garden City at number seven, and Butler at number 13, the league has three teams ranked in the NJCAA top 15. That ties them with Region 23, Louisiana, Mississippi, for the second most nationally ranked programs, trailing only East Texas's loaded Region 14. The schedule will test every team early and often. On opening weekend, Independence hosts Trinity Valley at 11 a.m. That game was played today, while Dodge City heads to Tyler Junior College for a 7 p.m. kickoff. The following week, Butler travels to NEO AM. That will be in Miami, Oklahoma. Highland hosts powerhouse Snow College, and Indy hits the road to face Ellsworth. By September 6th, the rest of the league gets rolling as Coffeeville hosts Cisco. Hutchinson travels to a team not to be overlooked, New Mexico Military, and Garden City collides with Navarro. The bottom line, the Kansas Jayhawk Conference is once again loaded with storylines. Can Hutchinson continue their reign and capture a third national title under Drew Dallas? Will Garden City or Butler close the gap and pull off the upset? Can Coffeeville take that next step from contender to champion? And which dark horse, Dodge City, Indy, or Highland, will rise up and shock the league? One thing is for certain, every Saturday in the KJCCC will matter, and the rest of the NJCAA will be watching closely. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a look into the, at least I thought I had it. I thought I had the rankings for the junior college, but apparently I don't have that. So, what I am going to do, I'm going to transition this from the Jayhawk League to college football's abbreviated top 25. I'm pretty sure that would be of interest to some of you as well too. As a matter of fact, we know one of the teams in the top 25 played today, which is Iowa State, and I do not have the complete list, which I plan on getting that to you next week as early as possibly Monday. So I plan to be back here on Monday. But I want to at least give you a glimpse, at least with the top 10, and give you a little bit of backdrop on some of these teams. So now we're going to focus our attention on the college football preseason top 25, taking a look at the top 10 because I don't want to hold you no longer than I have to. So the 2025 season is just days away, and right now hope springs eternal. Every fan base, every team feels like this could be their year. The off season is filled with optimism. Coaches hyping up their squads. Training camp reports sounding like gold, and those preseason rankings pumping confidence into programs all across the country. But let's just keep it real. No team right now is perfect. The AP Top 25 poll shows us the heavy hitters, but it also shows balance, more parity than we've seen in a while. And with that comes the reality. For every reason to believe, there's also a reason to worry. So today on the ride, as we get closer to bringing you back to the station, we're breaking it down. One reason for optimism and one reason for concern for each of the top 25 teams, at least the top 10 that I have right now. And this isn't just hype, it's reality check time. So, starting off, number one, Texas. Let's start with Texas preseason number one for the first time in program's history. The optimism, defense, defense, defense. Arch Manning gets the headlines, but this Longhorns defense is stacked. Anthony Hill Jr., Colin Simmons, a deep secondary. That side of the ball will keep them in every game. But the concern, the offensive line. They're replacing four starters, including Kelvin Banks Jr., who's off to the NFL. Adding a season ending injury to Andre Coho, and suddenly that O line looks shaky. Texas has weapons, but if the front five can't hold up, all that talent won't matter in the trenches. Number two, Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State comes in at number two. Optimism, the stars are in place. Drew Allard at quarterback, Singleton and Allen in the backfield, plus a tough defense led by Zane Durant and Tony Rojas. This team looks ready to finally break through. But what is the concern? Wide receivers. Since Jahan Dotson left, Penn State's passing game is like that go to guy. They brought in transfers, but one of them has to step up, or else this offense will stall against elite competition. Number three, Ohio State Buckeyes. At number three, the defending national champs, Ohio State. Optimism. The passing game should keep rolling. Julian Sand takes over at QB. And when you got Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate catching passes, you're set up for success. The concern, the defensive line. They lost all four starters to the NFL draft. Sure, Ohio State reloads, but that's still a lot to replace up front. Number five, Clemson Tigers, a team that you could say is behind the times thanks to their coach, who's not a big transfer portal guy. That could be a good thing because it means you can build and mold your players. However, fourth ranked Clemson Tigers, reason for optimism, wide receiver youth might just be back. Antonio Williams, Brian Westco, TJ Moore, that trio could put the Tigers back in explosive territory. The concern, running back. Phil Moffitt's gone, and behind Cade Klubnik, there is no proven rusher. Converted wide receiver Adam Randall is starting at running back, and that's a gamble. Coming in at number five, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number five, Georgia, the reason for optimism, wide receivers should be much improved. Drops plagued them last year, but they added Noah Thomas from Texas A&M and explosive Zachariah Branch. That's huge. The concern, edge rushers. Georgia's churned out sack machines for years, but with last year's top three gone, somebody has to emerge or their defense may not look as dominant. Number six, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Reason for optimism, running back Jeremiah Love. Expect him to carry the load early and often, and he's built for it. But the concern, youth at quarterback. CJ Carr is the guy now, but he's never thrown a college pass. And opening the season against Miami and Texas A&M, that's trial by fire. Number seven, the Oregon Ducks and their thousand different schemes of uniforms. Reason for optimism, that front seven is legit. And some of these names I'm not going to try to pronounce. They'll cause havoc, just like me trying to pronounce your names. They'll cause havoc in the Big Ten. The concern, wide receiver depth. Evan Stewart, hurt. Jurion Dickey, suspended. Suddenly, the Ducks are thin at the position. Number eight, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Reason for optimism, that offensive line, loaded with NFL talent led by Caden Proctor and Parker Brailsford. The concern, tight end. In Kalen DeBoer's system, that position is key. But right now, there is not much proven production there. Number nine, the LSU Tigers down there on the Bayou. Reason for optimism, Garrett Nussmeyer. Plain and simple. He's the top returning passer in the country. The concern is the secondary. LSU's pass defense has been suspect for years, and if the transfers don't fix it, they'll be in more shootouts than they won't. And number 10, rounding out the top 10, Miami. The reason for optimism, the trenches. Francis Malgoa and Ruben Bain Jr. headline a physical team up front. The concern, Carson Beck. Which version of him shows up? Georgia transfer once a top prospect, but he regressed last year. Miami needs his best to contend. And that's the top 10, folks. Yeah, I know we have 15 more to go, but I'll give those to you next week. I'm pretty sure Iowa State will hold steady at number 22. Maybe there'll be some reshuffling. And I want someone to drop me some comments and tell me, why do they call it week zero? I never have liked that because you don't see, after a game is played of the magnitude of Kansas State versus Iowa State, they don't come back from across the waters with their record still saying 0-0. They come back, one team with a record of 1-0, and another team with a record of 0-1. Now, you may call it the kickoff to the football season, but me personally, I'm getting tired of hearing this thing called week zero. Somebody, for the love of God, will you please tell somebody, because I don't know if my voice is loud enough, tell them to rename this to something else besides week zero, because in college football, there's no preseason. As soon as you hit the field and you're playing against a team in a different uniform, it's the real deal. Plain and simple. It's the real deal. So, yes, I'm going to go on a rant to get this week zero mess changed. Like I say, I'm just one voice, but those of you who are watching and those of you who would listen to the podcast, if you are in agreement with me, let your voice be heard. So once again, like I said, we still got 15 more to go, but I'm going to give that to you next week, hopefully Monday. And yes, it will still be reasons for optimism and reasons to worry as we head into what could be one of the wildest college football seasons we've ever seen in the new 12-team playoff era. We'll hit those teams on my next show. So, as I always say, keep your tickets because they are reusable. The ride is always free. And I appreciate your listening ears and your viewing eyes on the ride known as the A Train. Until the next time, take care of yourself and each other. And I want you to know that this show is That's right. Powered by Riverside FM. So until next time, like I said, take care of yourself and each other. And hopefully, we will be back with you Monday and we will give you the rest of the top 25. And we may even get into some NFL talk. I'm out.